The Galactic Consortium's central chamber falls silent as Ambassador Elena Reyes watches her blood drip onto the ceremonial agreement. The quantum communication device, humanity's greatest achievement in centuries, sits on the pedestal, soon to be surrendered. As the Joveri executor seals the transfer with his six-fingered imprint, Elena spots a fleeting smirk on his gelatinous face. The consortium thanks humanity for this contribution to galactic peace, the executor announces, his translator converting the wet clicking sounds of his native speech. Once again, Earth demonstrates its commitment to harmony. Elena forces herself to smile, the practiced diplomat's mask she'd worn for 15 years, settling into place automatically. Behind her, the Earth delegation applauds on cue. 200 years of this charade, surrendering innovations, accepting territorial limitations, always in the name of stability and gradual integration. That night, while most delegates celebrate the peaceful resolution, Elena slips away to meet Captain Maya Santos, her childhood friend now commanding Earth's orbital defense. They rendezvous in a maintenance corridor of the station, carefully swept for surveillance devices. "Show me," Elena whispers, her breath fogging in the deliberately cold passageway. Most consortium species prefer warmer environments, making this an ideal meeting spot. Maya's dark eyes flash with barely contained fury as she produces a small holographic projector. 3 separate transmissions intercepted during the negotiations. The device flickers to life, displaying alien script that scrolls alongside the translation. "Another decade of human regression secured," reads one. "Containment protocols functioning as designed," says another. The third makes Elena's blood freeze. "Genetic monitoring confirms their advancement potential remains active. Recommend continued technology suppression until Phase 3. "Phase 3? Elena asks. Maya's voice drops even lower. "We don't know. But this is confirmation of everything we've suspected." On her return journey to Earth, Elena's shuttle is rerouted by an explosion at the Luna colony, a terrorist attack by human separatists. The consortium immediately offers protective occupation of the colony, dispatching a peacekeeping fleet before Earth can even respond. Elena diverts to Luna against advisory protocols. The colonial governor meets her at the airlock, his face ashen. "They're saying it was human extremists," he murmurs, guiding her through corridors filled with consortium security forces. "But our sensors detected." "Not here." Elena cuts him off, aware of the watching aliens. At the blast site, while supposedly paying respects to the victims, Elena activates a passive scanner disguised as a ceremonial bracelet. The readings confirm what the governor couldn't say openly: consortium energy signatures, perfectly disguised as human work. The explosion targeted the colony's independent research wing, where scientists had been quietly working on quantum propulsion theories. In the colony's medical bay, she meets Darius Chen, a brilliant engineer whose family died in the attack. His mother had been leading the propulsion research team. "They're calling it human terrorism," he says, voice hollow as he stares at his bandaged hands. "They're using our own people's deaths to justify increased security." Their eyes meet, and Elena sees her own growing rage reflected there. "I'll fix this," she promises, though she has no idea how. During an emergency session of Earth's United Council back home, Elena listens to the consortium ambassador express grave concern about rising extremism among humans. His solution: stricter oversight of all human technological development for mutual protection. When the council asks for her assessment, Elena rises slowly. She removes the ceremonial knife of diplomacy, carried by her family for 7 generations, and throws it onto the chamber floor with a resounding clang. "They're not partners," she announces, activating surveillance jammers hidden throughout the chamber. "They're farmers, and we're the crop they're keeping from growing too tall." "Progress report," demands Admiral Jackson Chen, standing before holographic displays in the hollowed-out asteroid codenamed Anvil. 3 years of secret development have transformed this barren rock into humanity's greatest technological sanctuary, hidden in plain sight within the debris field of Saturn's outermost ring. The displays flicker as connection protocols route through 17 dummy servers to mask their origin. Security procedures that would have seemed paranoid before Luna now feel inadequate. "Sir, Project Prometheus has reached Milestone 7, reports Commander Lin Wei, her avatar materializing beside him. All 7 orbital platforms can now phase shift on command. Current detection probability by consortium sensors is below 3%. Chen nods, the harsh lighting accentuating the new lines on his face. 3 years of constant vigilance and secrecy taking their toll. And the propulsion systems. Before Lin can answer, another figure materializes on the platform. Dr. Amara Okafor's avatar flickers as it transmits from the underwater facility beneath Europa's ice. Security protocols limit direct communication, forcing her to connect through quantum entanglement relays that leave no detectable transmission signature. They said it was impossible, she says, removing her protective gloves to reveal skin crisscrossed with luminescent circuitry, the physical interface she developed to directly manipulate quantum fields. They were wrong. Behind her, a containment sphere pulses with captive dark energy, power enough to ignite a star or extinguish one. The equations floating around the display would make any consortium physicist declare them a violation of universal constants. Side effects? Chen asks, his military pragmatism cutting to the core issue. The laws of physics are more like guidelines, Okafor says with a grim smile. We've confirmed controlled dimensional phasing in test vessels. We can effectively render our ships immune to conventional weapons. The energy requirements are enormous, but, she gestures to the containment sphere, that's no longer a limitation. On Venus, 7,000 kilometers away, Alina attends a consortium cultural exchange in the alien diplomatic sector. Her neural implant, technology officially prohibited for humans, records every conversation while projecting false thoughts for the telepathic species to read. The implant had been Dr. Okafor's first contribution to the silent revolution, allowing human diplomats to finally operate on equal footing. She dances with Ambassador Thrall of the Vex Imperium, whose species enslaved 3 civilizations before meeting humans. With membranous wings folded against his carapace and 4 arms moving with practiced grace, he looks almost benevolent. Your kind learns submission well, he whispers during a turn, mandibles clicking in pleasure. 2 centuries of guidance, and you've barely progressed beyond internal combustion in your civilian sectors. Quite remarkable restraint for a species with your potential. Alina smiles, thinking of the fleet growing in Neptune's shadow. We're very patient, she replies, letting a hint of genuine emotion leak past her implant's shields. Just enough truthful satisfaction to convince him she's flattered by his condescension. A Dravidi seer approaches her in the garden afterward, 4 eyes blinking asynchronously. The oldest species in the consortium, the Dravidi possess limited temporal awareness that makes them valuable advisors and dangerous enemies. The probability strands shift around you, human, it hisses urgently, upper limbs twitching in agitation. Something fundamental has changed. The futures collapse toward a singularity of consequence. Before Alina can respond, consortium guards escort the Dravidi away. Forgive the intrusion, Ambassador, one says. This one's medications need adjustment. Later that night, news spreads of the seer's unfortunate accident during transport. Elena sends a coded message to Earth. The time frame has accelerated. They're starting to notice. Full implementation must proceed. As her message travels through supposedly secure consortium channels, Alina stares out at Venus's eternal cloud cover and permits herself a rare moment of genuine emotion. Anticipation. The bicentennial celebration on Alpha Centauri glitters with artificial opulence. 200 years of human partnership with the consortium. 2 centuries of carefully managed decline disguised as protection. The grand ceremonial hall, designed to accommodate 18 different atmospheric preferences simultaneously, buzzes with anticipation for the traditional human gratitude speech. Alina adjusts her ceremonial robes, touching the small quantum transmitter hidden beneath her collar. Its weight feels insignificant compared to the burden of history about to pivot on her words. Her eyes meet those of her assistant, David Kim, whose family had served as diplomatic support for 3 generations. "It's done," he whispers, confirming that their contingency plans are activated. No turning back now. The Grand Arbiter of the Consortium, a massive amorphous entity housed in a levitating containment field, signals for silence. The hall quiets as holographic displays activate, showing highlights of human progress under Consortium guidance. Sanitized images of small technological steps, each carefully permitted after humans proved they could handle the responsibility. Ambassador Reyes, the Arbiter's mechanical voice echoes, "You may now present humanity's gratitude for 2 centuries of benevolent guidance." Alina approaches the central podium, feeling the weight of thousands of alien eyes upon her. The Vex Imperium representatives click their war mandibles in anticipation of another submission. The Arketh, supposedly Earth's greatest allies, nod their elongated heads encouragingly. "Humanity is grateful," she begins, her voice echoing through the vast chamber as translator drones ensure every species can understand her words. The prepared speech, the one the Consortium approved, appears on her neural display, but she ignores it. "We are grateful," Alina continues, her smile sharpening, "because without your systematic oppression, we might never have discovered our true potential." The translator drones falter, confused by the shift in tone. Murmurs ripple through the assembly. Earth hereby withdraws from all restrictive treaties, effective immediately. The Grand Arbiter's containment field pulses with alarm. "Ambassador, this is not the approved." Alina raises her hand, and the holographic displays behind her flicker, overridden by Earth's hidden protocols. They show technologies humanity has developed in secret, impossible propulsion systems, dark energy harnessing, and quantum shields that made the Consortium's weapons obsolete. "For 2 centuries, you've lied to us," Alina continues, her voice strengthening. "You presented yourselves as mentors while deliberately stunting our growth. You manufactured terrorist incidents when we came too close to breakthroughs. You manipulated our cultural development to encourage docility." Pandemonium erupts. The Vex ambassador's exoskeleton flares crimson as he rises, calling for Alina's immediate arrest. This is sedition. The treaties clearly prohibit this level of technological development. The Arketh representative, face contorted with rage, shouts over the chaos. Earth must be quarantined immediately. Their development poses an existential threat to galactic stability. Security drones converge on Alina, their containment fields humming. She stands unmoving, dignified in the face of their approach. "You fear us," she says, voice cutting through the chaos, "not because we are violent, but because we represent what you've all forgotten. The boundless potential of a species allowed to grow without constraint." As the first drone reaches her, Alina activates her transmitter. "Now, Admiral," she whispers. Across 23 star systems, hidden human outposts simultaneously reveal themselves. In Earth orbit, 7 massive platforms materialize from quantum displacement fields. Operation Prometheus finally unveiled. Admiral Chen's voice echoes through every Consortium communication channel. "For centuries, you've asked us to prove our peaceful intentions. Today, we ask the same of you. Earth is not declaring war. We are declaring independence." The security drone touches Alina's shoulder, its containment field activating. Her last sight before being taken into custody is the horrified expression of the Grand Arbiter as reports flood in from across the galaxy. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for far longer than anyone suspected. The cosmos trembled, weapons hot, extinction protocols authorized. Pi Commander Zix Valor announces from the bridge of the Consortium's dreadnought inevitable conclusion. Around him, the command crew's exoskeletons flush with battle pheromones as weapon stations report readiness. The response fleet, officially a diplomatic envoy, despite carrying enough firepower to reduce Earth to molten slag, emerges from full at the edge of Sol system. 47 vessels representing the combined might of the Consortium's military arm. Zix Valor has personally ended 3 problematic civilizations. Humans will be the 4th. Target analysis complete. His tactical officer reports. Human defenses consist of 7 orbital platforms of unknown configuration, plus approximately 30 smaller vessels. Threat assessment: moderate, but manageable. Zix Valor's mandibles click with satisfaction. The diplomatic contingent will remain at safe distance until pacification is complete. Standard approach vector. All vessels maintain combat readiness. 10 light minutes from Earth, alarms suddenly blare across the fleet. Weapon targeting systems fail. Quantum engines stutter and strain against unexpected resistance. Communication between ships degrades into bursts of static. Impossible. Zix Valor hisses as his tactical officers frantically report cascading system failures. Status of defense platforms. Unknown Commander. Our sensors can't penetrate whatever field they've established. The main viewscreen flickers, then stabilizes to show a human vessel directly ahead, impossibly, without any transit signature. The sleek black ship, designated Icarus, appears to absorb rather than reflect light, its hull devoid of visible weapons or propulsion systems. Admiral Chen's weathered face fills the communication screen. The traditional first contact protocol involves a show of force, he says calmly, as if discussing the weather. Consider this ours. Around the Consortium fleet, space itself seems to ripple. More human vessels phase in and out of visibility, moving in ways that violate known physics. Long-range sensors detect power signatures rivaling small stars emanating from the orbital platforms around Earth. A junior officer collapses at her station, overwhelmed by readings her species evolved to perceive. Dimensional fracturing. She gasps before losing consciousness. They're partially existing in multiple states simultaneously. You've hidden behind trees while building. This, Zix Valor manages, mandibles trembling with the first fear he's felt in centuries of military service. We call it Operation Prometheus, Chen replies, displaying neither pride nor hostility. Perhaps your historical databases will appreciate the reference. We could have built weapons. Instead, we built protection. A demonstration follows. A small escort ship breaks formation, accelerating toward Earth while launching a kinetic penetrator, a simple asteroid, accelerated to relativistic speed. The ultimate test of any defense system. The asteroid disintegrates harmlessly against invisible barriers still thousands of kilometers from its target. The escort ship itself shudders to a halt, caught in some unseen field. Comprehensive sensor analysis, Zix Valor commands, desperation edging into his voice. Impossible to complete, his science officer responds. Their technology operates on principles we have theoretical models for, but have never observed in practical application. Zix Valor stares at the human admiral's impassive face. In 3 centuries of military service, he has never offered surrender. But neither has he faced an enemy so thoroughly prepared and yet so restrained. We expected annihilation. Zix Valor admits finally, his species' equivalent of capitulation. Your defenses render our weapons useless, yet you haven't destroyed a single ship. That's the difference between us, Chen responds, his expression softening slightly. You came prepared to commit genocide. We prepared only to prevent it. Return to your masters with our terms. Equal partnership or no partnership. Either way, human potential will no longer be chained. As the communication ends, Zix Valor gazes at Earth, visible now as a small blue orb on the long-range sensors. For the first time, He wonders if the consortium's assessment of humanity had been wrong from the beginning, not just in their technological capacity, but in something far more fundamental. The Grand Consortium Chamber, once a monument to unity, now echoes with accusations and threats. Emergency sessions have continued for 72 hours straight as the implications of humanity's revelation ripple through galactic politics. The tiered seating arrangement, designed to reflect each species standing in the hierarchy, seems suddenly archaic as younger representatives question their assigned positions. The Vex delegation pounds their war staffs against the floor as Admiral Krivnext demands immediate military action. One fleet failure does not indicate technological superiority. We must mobilize the combined armada and contain this threat before it spreads. The Arketh representatives, caught in their duplicity, frantically try to distance themselves from centuries of human exploitation. Their ambassador Talshir rises, his translucent skin flushing with stress indicators that pulse beneath the surface. We negotiated in good faith with the humans, he insists, voice modulated to project sincerity. Our scientific exchanges were always mutual and transparent. A holographic projection materializes above the chamber, classified Arketh communications revealing their systematic theft of human innovations. The messages detail how they adapted and weaponized technologies while maintaining their alliance. The chamber falls silent as the evidence accumulates. Who dares? Talshir demands, looking frantically for the source of the transmission. From her containment cell, Alina Reyes smiles slightly. The data packet she had prepared before her arrest has found its target, deployed by her loyal staff through the consortium's own communications network. Along the outer rim of the galaxy, younger species, those subjected to development restrictions similar to humanity's, begin quiet diplomatic outreach to Earth. Ambassador Kalani of the aquatic Nulvari, her water-filled environmental suit bubbling with excitement, meets with David Kim, Alina's assistant, at a neutral trading post in the Rigel system. You've done the impossible, she burbles, translators converting the sonic patterns into human speech. You've given us hope. Our physicists have been suppressed for just as long, our innovations classified as destabilizing. Earth stands ready to collaborate with any species on equal terms, David responds, offering the data crystal that contains Dr. Okafor's theoretical framework for dark energy manipulation. No more hierarchies, no more controlled development. The Dravidi Conclave, oldest and most enigmatic members of the consortium, makes their stunning announcement during the fourth day of emergency sessions. Their High Seer, Vostral, ancient even by Dravidi standards, shuffles to the central platform. The Dravidi Conclave hereby withdraws from all consortium treaties, the ancient alien intomes, multiple eyes blinking in their species' equivalent of grave concern. The probability strands have shifted. What comes next cannot be calculated by old methods. Chaos erupts anew as the consortium's oldest founding member abandons the alliance. Without Dravidi temporal insights, strategic planning becomes significantly more uncertain. On Earth, Dr. Amara Okafor stands on a platform overlooking the Sahara. Below her stretches a living laboratory, a section of desert transformed by her terraforming anites. Where sand dunes once dominated, an experimental ecosystem now blooms with genetically optimized vegetation. They told us we needed millennia to fix our mistakes, she tells the gathered scientists from 17 nations. Turns out, we only needed the freedom to try. She activates a holographic display showing climate models. At current efficiency, we can reverse 2 centuries of environmental damage in under 5 years. The implications are clear. Worlds made uninhabitable by consortium mining could be restored in decades, not eons. In his command center beneath the lunar surface, Admiral Chen oversees the departure of the first wave of colony ships. Vessels hidden in Jupiter's atmosphere for generations, now finally fulfilling their purpose as they head toward stars beyond consortium control. They kept us confined to one system, he says, watching the ships accelerate to velocities the consortium believed unattainable. Now the entire galaxy is our frontier. As the ships disappear into the darkness, Chen receives word that 6 more species have requested formal alliances with Earth. The galactic recalculation has begun. Alarms blare through the human research outpost at Proxima Centauri. Dr. Luwei Zhang, leading a team studying stellar formation, rushes to the command center as emergency protocols activate throughout the station. The holographic display shows 3 Vex destroyers emerging from faster-than-light travel, their distinctive blade-shaped hulls instantly recognizable. Energy readings indicate weapons charging, reports Dr. Camario Say, her fingers flying across the sensor controls. They're not responding to hails. John's heart sinks. The outpost houses 200 scientists and their families, including 37 children and the education dome. Despite the new Earth defense systems, this remote station had only received minimal upgrades. We have families here. She broadcasts on all frequencies, knowing it's likely futile. The Vex don't recognize scientific outposts as civilian targets. Their military doctrine classifies all infrastructure as legitimate military objectives. The first Vex vessel moves into firing position, its main cannon glowing with charged plasma. Enough energy to vaporize the station's core module. Evacuation protocols initiated, Zhang announces, her voice steady despite her fear. All personnel to emergency. The Vex weapon fires. Zhang closes her eyes, expecting oblivion. Instead, silence. She opens her eyes to see the energy beam striking an invisible barrier several kilometers from the station, the deadly plasma dispersing harmlessly into space. What the hell? Osai whispers. A new vessel materializes between the station and the Vex ships. A sleek black Earth vessel that hadn't been there seconds before. Commander Sarah Kagawa, youngest officer in Earth's new fleet, appears on the communication screen. Proxima Research Station, this is Hem's defiance. Your defense grid is now active. Please continue your work, we'll handle this situation. The Vex respond by launching their planet killer weapon, a gravitational distortion device designed to tear planetary bodies apart. The beam passes harmlessly through Kagawa's ship, which seems to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Where the beam should impact, the ship's hull simply isn't there, then reappears once the energy has passed. Kagawa's counterstrike is surgical. Precision beams targeting only weapon systems and engines while leaving life support intact. Each Vex vessel shudders as critical systems go offline, leaving them adrift but habitable. On the Vex flagship, Commander Drazvex watches in disbelief as his mighty vessel becomes inert, drifting helplessly. Engineering reports cascade across his neural interface. Engines disabled, weapons offline, even secondary power systems compromised. Yet life support, crew quarters, and medical bays remain untouched. Finish us, he demands when Kagawa establishes communication, mandibles clicking in the Vex death prayer. You have the right by combat law. We're not like you, Kagawa responds, her vessels forming a protective ring around the disabled Vex fleet. Transmitting coordinates for your rescue vessels now. Your crew will survive this encounter. Drazvex, trained since hatching for military glory, cannot comprehend the response. You gain nothing by this mercy. That's where you're wrong, Kagawa replies. We gain everything that matters. On Earth, Alina, released from consortium custody after diplomatic pressure and now serving as strategic director for human expansion, receives a visitor in her private chambers at the newly established Terran Diplomatic Center. Security protocols are bypassed without alarms as Claveri, eldest of the Dravidi Seers, simply appears in her office. Your dimensional shielding technology is impressive, the ancient alien says, multifaceted eyes observing her reaction. But still primitive compared to what you will develop. How did you get past our security? Alina demands, hand hovering over the alert panel. The same way your ships phase through Vex weapons, by not being fully present in a single-dimensional state. Cloveri settles into a chair, seeming to age decades in moments. You should have destroyed them at Proxima Centauri. Explain, Alina says, lowering her hand. Mercy is unknown in Vex culture. They do not interpret it as compassion, but as strategic calculation. Now they fear you more than if you had annihilated them. Good, Alina responds firmly. Fear will keep them from further aggression. Cloveri's inner eyelids close briefly, a sign of deep concern. You do not understand. I must reveal the Consortium's darkest secret. The ancient alien leans forward. It was created for one purpose, to prevent what you are becoming. In all our history, only 17 species have shown your potential for exponential rather than linear advancement. The others were eliminated before reaching your stage. Why tell me this? Elena asks, suspicious of the sudden candor. Because, the Dravidi says, suddenly appearing decades older, visible time streams flowing around his form. The 18th such species is approaching from beyond the galactic rim. And only humanity stands a chance of surviving what comes next. The skies above Mars burn crimson as rogue Vex warships. Extremists rejecting their government's capitulation breach the upper atmosphere. 6 vessels, each bearing the Broken Fang insignia of the Vex fundamentalist faction, descend toward the Olympus City Dome. Emergency sirens wail across the Martian colony as civilians rush to shelter areas. Death before submission to lesser beings broadcasts their commander, Tiro Vex, his voice distorted by battle rage pheromones. His flagship, Righteous Purity, launches planet cracker missiles toward the largest habitat dome. In his command center beneath Deimos, Admiral Chen watches in horror as defensive systems activate seconds too late. A targeting glitch, later revealed to be Consortium-planted malware, delays the response by crucial moments. 3 Martian domes rupture simultaneously. Environmental systems fail catastrophically as the thin Martian atmosphere rushes in. Emergency force fields stabilize some sections, but many areas are lost instantly. 16,000 human colonists die in the explosive decompression, the first massed human casualties in the Silent War. Intercept options, Chen demands, his composed exterior belying the rage beneath. Prometheus platforms are repositioning, sir, his tactical officer reports. Estimated time to firing solution, 4 minutes. Too long, Chen whispers as he watches a second wave of missiles launch toward the remaining domes. Hertz's response comes from an unexpected quarter. The scientific vessel Lazarus, undergoing atmospheric testing in Mars orbit, suddenly accelerates to impossible velocity. Dr. Amara Okafor, on board to supervise the terraforming trial run, overrides safety protocols and redirects all power to the experimental shield system. The Lazarus positions itself between the Vex ships and Mars, extending its dark energy field to unprecedented scale. The missiles detonate harmlessly against the barrier. The Vex vessels, caught in the expanded field, find their systems failing as localized physics become unpredictable within the bubble. Hold them until Prometheus arrives. Okafor transmits to Chen before the strain on the experimental systems causes cascading failures throughout the Lazarus. The ship's hull breaches as the containment field collapses, but its sacrifice buys the precious minutes needed for Earth's defense grid to respond. From his command center, Admiral Chen watches the death toll rise. His officers expect orders for immediate retaliation against Vex homeworlds. Protocols exist for precisely this scenario. The targeting data for key Vex civilian and military installations appears on his display, awaiting his confirmation. No, Chen says quietly, silencing the murmurs among his staff. We don't become them to defeat them. What follows stuns even humanity's allies. In precisely 6 hours and 17 minutes, human stealth ships neutralize every Vex military installation across 3 sectors. Hundreds of bases rendered inoperable without a single civilian casualty. Weapon systems fail, Shields collapse, propulsion systems shut down, but life support remains untouched in all cases. A message repeats across all Vex frequencies. Your people are safe. Your weapons are not. This ends now. The Vexed High Command, faced with total vulnerability and internal revolt from their warrior castes, formally surrenders within hours. In an unprecedented move, they deliver Tyro Vex and his conspirators to Earth for judgment, the first time in their species' history that they've submitted to external justice. Meanwhile, on Arketh mining moon 137, Dr. Okafor, having survived the Lazarus incident with severe injuries, activates the full-scale Lazarus project from her medical bed. Self-replicating nanites, programmed to undo centuries of ecological devastation, deployed across the barren surface of what had once been a thriving moon before consortium mining stripped it bare. Arketh diplomats watch in shocked silence as barren wastelands transform before their eyes. Toxic mining pools clarify into pristine lakes over the course of hours. Atmospheres thick with industrial waste begin to clear as specialized microorganisms consume and transform pollutants. Soil dead for generations sprouts with engineered pioneer species that stabilize the fragile ecosystem. This moon should have taken 10,000 years to recover. An Arketh scientist whispers, data streams from his environmental suit confirming what seems impossible. We don't have that kind of patience. Okafor responds from her holographic projection, her modified eyes capturing data invisible to others. The physical toll of her injuries is visible, but so is her determination. The real question is, how many other worlds has the consortium sacrificed that we can now save? The message spreads across the galaxy faster than any fleet could travel. Humanity can heal what others have destroyed. Species that once feared human ascendancy now see them as potential saviors of worlds thought forever lost. The Galactic Covenant Chamber on Luna, built from transparent quantum crystal that seems to float above the lunar surface, hosts representatives from 32 species. 5 years after humanity's pivot from reconciliation, the galaxy operates under radically different principles. The tiered seating arrangement of the old consortium has been replaced by a circular forum where all species meet as equals. Alina Reyes, now Chancellor of the Covenant, stands at the center of the chamber. The scars on her face from consortium interrogation are visible reminders of how far they've come. She surveys the gathering, former enemies, and new allies alike, with quiet satisfaction. 5 years ago, we stood at the precipice of conflict. She begins, her voice carrying through the perfect acoustics of the chamber. Today, we stand at the threshold of a new era of cooperation. The Covenant Charter, crafted through the collaborative effort of all our peoples, is now complete. The holographic charter materializes above the chamber, its interlocking structure representing the interconnected nature of their alliance, each species contributing sections based on their unique strengths and perspectives. On Titan's frozen surface, Admiral Chen, silver-haired but still commanding, stands before the graduating class of the first Multi-Species Defense Academy. The environmental domes glitter under Saturn's distant light as cadets from 17 different species stand at attention. When I was your age, Chen tells them, his breath fogging in the artificial atmosphere, I trained to fight against the very species many of you belong to. I prepared for wars I prayed would never come. He gestures to the memorial for the Mars attack victims, a simple monument of Martian stone. Some believed that tragedy would ignite a cycle of revenge and counter-revenge. Instead, it became the catalyst for something unprecedented. Nulvari aquatic specialists in their specialized environmental suits stand alongside human submariners. Vex tactical officers, once humanity's greatest threat, now share their centuries of combat experience with Terran strategists. Even a contingent of Arketh, humbled by their exposed duplicity, participate in shared technological development. We once prepared for war against each other, Chen concludes, pride evident in his voice. Now we prepare together for something greater. On a restored world at the galaxy's edge, once an uninhabitable mining outpost, now a thriving ecosystem, Dr. Amara Okafor supervises as her terraforming technology is transferred to representatives from 17 species. Unlike the consortium's hoarding of knowledge, humanity's only condition for sharing is reciprocity. All advancements must flow freely between partners. Her body, extensively reconstructed after the Lazarus incident, moves with precision as she calibrates the nanite control systems. Biomechanical implants allow her to interface directly with the technology, a synthesis of human and machine that would have been forbidden under consortium restrictions. The consortium made scarcity their power. She explains to her alien counterparts, displaying training simulations for the terraforming controllers. We make abundance ours. As the formal covenant signing session concludes, Alina stands alone on the observation deck. Earth hangs in the lunar sky, its blue-green surface partially obscured by newly constructed orbital habitats and shipyards. Humanity has expanded more in 5 years than in the previous 2 centuries of constrained development. Cleveri materializes beside her, seeming to step from between moments of time. The ancient Dravidi appears frailer than before, the burden of temporal awareness taking its toll. "They're coming," he says without preamble, 4 eyes focusing on a point beyond the visible stars. The anomaly at the galactic rim grows stronger. The 18th exponential species approaches. Alina nods, unsurprised. "We know. We've been preparing since you first warned us." "You could have kept your advantages," Cleveri observes, studying her face. "Dominated rather than cooperated. Most species with your capabilities would have seized control. That's the final difference between us and the consortium," Elena replies. "They saw other species as threats to contain. We see them as allies to elevate." The quantum communication network flashes with urgent news. Long-range sensors detect massive objects decelerating at the galaxy's edge. Ships larger than anything seen before. Technologies operating on principles even humanity hasn't mastered. As the delegates receive the news, panicked voices fill the chamber. Elena raises her hand for silence, stepping back to the central podium. "The cosmos trembled when humanity pivoted from reconciliation," she begins, her voice steady. "Not because we chose war, but because we finally embraced our potential while maintaining our humanity. Now we face this new challenge not as separate species kept artificially weak, but as a galactic community at our collective strongest." From his observatory on Mars, Darius Chen, who lost his family in the Vex attack, now director of Covenant Defense, activates the Sentinel network. Across the galaxy, thousands of monitoring stations come online simultaneously. Humanity's greatest shield extends not just around Earth, but around every inhabited world in Covenant space. The cosmos had trembled once. Now it watches and waits as humanity leads not through dominance, but through elevation of all.